thing. All you bitches best to know my name. Nobody you hoes, I'm coming from South Park. Catch you after dark, I'ma spit your fucking chest apart. Follow you.
Relax and take notes. Niggas need to wake up. Niggas need to relax and take notes. Niggas need to wake up. Niggas need to relax and take notes.
What's up, everybody? What's going on? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome to Cannon Speaks. I am Cannon Hotep. I appreciate you guys for joining me. Give yourselves a round of applause. Because you could be anywhere right now, but you hanging out with me, and I appreciate it. I got my man Jay Pylon with me, riding shotgun. Hopefully we got Bailey coming in a little bit later. We discussing these Twitter Files Part 7 that dropped around 11 o'clock this morning. Boy, they is disclosing everything, ain't they? You know what I mean? Like I said, Twitter Files had a hard time getting out the blocks in the beginning. Right? Now this shit, they letting it all hang out. Right? Good Lord in the morning. But again, it's still stuff that, you know, Hotep's been told you. Hotep's been told you. We been told you about that laptop. We've been told you about that boy laptop. We've been told you about Hundo laptop. bro. Jeez, this shit's crazy though, Jay. Like, it's like the writing was always on the wall, but everybody just wanted to, not everybody, but the willfully ignorant wanted to just believe the media. Oh, it's Russian disinfo. It's not true. It's not true. Like, but it's a physical laptop. Oh, it's a conspiracy theory. But here go the pictures. Excuse me. But here are pictures. Would they Photoshop these pictures? Are these deep fakes?
Man.
I'm just saying they just didn't want this shit to be real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I said,
They still don't.
Like I said, willfully ignorant, right? Willfully ignorant. And in the midst of all of these things, it seems like that committee on that day in January have decided to bring old Donnie T up or refer criminal charges against old Donnie T. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. Saw says the cognitive dissonance is sickening. That is true. That is true. All right. Steph said we got the real interference on that election shit. I hear that shit, bro. Anyway, so let's jump into it. Hopefully Bailey will get in here when she can. I know she was having some issues with her equipment. Let's jump into it. Let me see. Which one I want to use? Here we go. So from Michael Schellenberger, boy, they is like I said, they keeping that shit in close rotation, bro. It's like it's like Adam Sandler and his people. They make sure everybody stay working.
Oh yes, they can all grift on this.
Yeah, they all grifting off of this, bro. They all grifting off of this. Matter of fact, wasn't Michael Schellenberger the dude on that was on HJ channel like a couple weeks ago, debating Cyprian about crypto? I feel like that's who that was. I'm pretty sure that's who that was. Let me know in the chat. Y'all aren't on Rumble. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, it's behind over there on Rumble.
Nah.
Oh, I want to say that the reporter that kept getting into it with Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, right?
Uh-huh.
He died today or yesterday.
Oh, word?
The reporter that kept getting into it with him, he died suddenly at 60.
Died suddenly at 60. Did they say
They
say what the issue was?
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it come up. In fact, I haven't even really seen the coverage that much. It was a little light coverage of it, real light, early this morning when they said the guy that had been getting into it with Donnie T and with Mike Lindell.
Yeah.
I think they had a clip of him arguing with them and saying you have no evidence of anything, and everything is just perfectly legit here in the U.S. And then he died today or yesterday, last night or this morning, something like that.
Damn. Sorry over there on Rumble. So we live on Rumble right now. We're live. For those of you on Rumble, I am Cannon Hotep. Welcome to Cannon Speaks. This is Jay Pylon. He riding shotgun today. Hopefully Bailey will get in as soon as she can. I know she was having some technical difficulties. If not, we'll have Bailey on another time.
Y'all gonna see me looking left and right. I'm sorry, Cannon. Y'all just see me looking left and right because I got the baby in here with me too. So he's playing on the keyboard and on the mixer and stuff like that. So
you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do, bro.
Make sure he doesn't do anything off the wall.
So anyway, so for Rumble, I'm gonna recap. We're gonna go over Twitter Files, Part 7. Right?
Part 7.
Part 7. Goddamn mini-series out here. Shit.
It's like the Star Wars saga. They got 10 episodes apiece on these trilogies.
Right, we got a limited series going on out this motherfucker,
Man.
right?
Part
Anyway, 7. So these Twitter files are coming on the heels of that day in January, that committee for that day in January referring criminal charges on Donnie T. But we're going to touch on that a little bit later. That might be a Rumble exclusive. Right. Too hot for TV. But too hot for the tube. Too hot for the tube. Anyway, so let's get into this. All right, so Twitter Files Part 7. The FBI and Hunter Biden laptop. Let me start off by saying this, YouTube. The views and opinions expressed by Michael Schellenberger do not represent the views of Canon Hotep, Canon Speaks, J Pylon, or Hotep Nation. Your discretion is advised. Your discretion is advised. We are just reading and giving our sole opinions on what we're reading. Anyway, let's get to it. So, the FBI and Hunter Biden laptop. How the FBI and intelligence community discredit factual information about Hunter Biden's former foreign business dealings, both after and before the New York Post revealed the contents of his laptop on October 14th, 2020. Huh.
They got that before in italics too. Before.
Right. So let's see where we at here. Oh, what's going on here? What's it?
Look at Steph. He said Pillow Guy's ops went to sleep.
Breezy.
Cold.
Hold on.
He cold.
Pillow Guy's ops went to sleep. He ain't right. He ain't right. All right, here we go. In Twitter files number 6, we saw the FBI relentlessly seek to exercise influence over Twitter, including over its content, its users, and its data. In Twitter file 7, we present evidence pointing to an organized effort by representatives of the intelligence community aimed at senior executives at news and social media companies to discredit leaked information about Hunter Biden before and after it was published. Let me see. The story begins in December 2019 when a Delaware computer store owner named John Paul McIsaac contacts the FBI about a laptop. So is his name Mac Isaac, or he just saying Mac because he fixed fucking MacBooks? Anyway, I'm just asking.
Mac Isaac. Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Is that some play? Is that like is Mac his nickname because he fixed MacBooks or some shit? Or is he a part of the fucking? I always thought that he was a part of the whole thing, right? Like that sound like a character out of a fucking, graphic novel. John Paul McIsaac, owner of fucking Mac repair shop. You know what I mean? Anyway,
his name was Max Power,
right.
like the Simpsons episode.
All right, let me finish doing this. A Delaware computer store owner named John Paul McIsaac contacts the FBI about a laptop that Hunter Biden had left with him. On December 9th, 2019, the FBI issues a subpoena and takes Hunter Biden's laptop. Right, so let's check this shit out. All right, so there's the paper right there. I kind of. God damn it. All right, so that's it right there. They should have blurred out that cell phone number. Anyway. So this is the subpoena to testify before the grand jury. All right. So you got the receipt. And then you got this shit here. The subpoena, all right? Apple MacBook Pro computer serial number. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, let's keep moving. By August 2020, McIsaac still had not heard back from the FBI, even though he had discovered evidence of criminal activity. And so he emails Rudy Giuliani, who was under FBI surveillance at the time. In early October, Giuliani gives it to the Post. All right, so the reason why Giuliani was under investigation, if I'm not mistaken, he was under investigation for the infamous call, the infamous Ukraine call. All right, that's why he was under investigation, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the article that they had that came out, right? I hate when this does this. Go away. There we go. Right, that was the article, right, that day, or that eventually came out, right? Shortly before 7 p.m. Eastern, on October 13th, Hunter Biden's lawyer, George Messiers, I guess it is, emails J.P. McIsaac, right? Hunter and Messiers had just learned from the New York Post that its story about the laptop will be published the next day. So here you go from Hunter Biden's lawyer. Says, John Paul, thank you for speaking with me tonight. As I indicated, I am a lawyer for Hunter Biden, and I appreciate you reviewing your records on this matter. Thank you, George, a partner or whatever firm he is a part of. So at 9:22 p.m. Eastern, 6:22 Pacific, FBI Special Agent Elvis Chan
That motherfucker's definitely a diesel, ain't he?
What I tell you guys, to remember the names, right? To remember the names. We read this shit last night, and guess what? Elvis Chan was one of the prevalent people doing all of this shit, right? He was one of the prevalent agents that was really keeping contact with Yoel Roth about these matters of these pressing matters that the FBI wanted to keep a close eye on. So, like I said, at 9:22 p.m., 6:22 Pacific, FBI agent Elvis Chan,
that motherfucker's definitely a diesel, ain't he?
Sends 10 documents to Twitter. Twitter's then head of site integrity, Yoel Roth, through Teleporter, a one-way communications channel from the FBI to Twitter. So that tells us that this Teleporter was Twitter's the FBI's backdoor into Twitter. It was their back channel into Twitter, their own private communications with Yoel Roth. That's just suspicious, right? You can't just use his email. You can't just put it in his email. You know what I mean? You can't make a phone call. You can't text him. You feel me? You can't Teams him. You can't use Microsoft Teams. You can't use the Slack, right? You got to have your own personal backdoor, pardon the pun, channel to reach these guys, like the fucking bat phone. It's just crazy. Let's see what Chan says. Heads up, I'll be sending a teleporter link for you to download 10 documents. It's not spam. Please confirm receipt when you get it. Thanks. Received and downloaded. Thanks. The next day, October 14th, 2020, the New York, so they posted on October 14th. The New York Post runs its explosive story revealing the business dealings of President Joe Biden's son Hunter. Every single fact in it was accurate. Every single fact in it was accurate, right? Now, this is what I was telling you guys about, and that's, you see it in my thumbnail and stuff like that. The New York Post got their Twitter suspended until they took down the fucking story, bro. Right? Remember that? And nobody made a big deal of it. Nobody made a big deal about it, for real. You know?
They were like, get this story out of here. Misinformation. It's all Russia.
Right. They told them, they was like, yeah, if you want your channel, if you want your Twitter back, all you gotta do is take the story down. Just take it down. It's misinformation. The shit didn't happen. You're reading stuff from the man from Moscow. He's in your brain doing Jedi mind tricks, right? These news are these news are not what you're looking for.
Right.
Holy shit. And
my goodness.
The boy, he all over the place. And yet within hours, Twitter and other social media companies censored the New York Post article, preventing it from spreading and, more importantly, undermining its credibility in the minds of many Americans. Why is that? What exactly happened? That's a good question. So the question is, what exactly did happen, right? What exactly happened with that? Why did all of these why did these news outlets, especially Twitter, I think Facebook as well, why did they start to silence the New York Post? The New York Post, a credible news outlet, right? This ain't InfoWars. It ain't the Young Turks. It ain't, One American News or whatever you would consider like fringe news or whatever, whatever the fuck that is, right? This is the New York Post, a very credible outlet, and you silence them, really, right? Instead of people actually sitting there thinking that it wasn't a credible story, they should have been asking themselves, like with the Streisand effect, like, hold on, wait a minute. What's in this story? What's in the story to make y'all take down the New York Post Twitter page? But like I said, the willfully ignorant. They don't want their belief system broken. So they'll go along to get along with anything. Let's see. On December 2nd, Matt Taibbi described the debate inside Twitter over its decision to censor a wholly accurate article. Let me see. Since then, we have discovered new info that points to an organized effort by the intel community to influence Twitter and other platforms. All right. First, it's important to understand that Hunter Biden earned tens of millions of dollars in contracts with foreign businesses, including ones linked to China's government, for which Hunter offered no real work. Here's an overview by investigative journalist Peter Schweitzer. So let's see what Peter talking about.
These documents show the flow of funds from Russian, Ukrainian, and Chinese sources, among others. So we know there's been a flow of funds. We also know that the people sending that money have very close relationships with the government. So in the case of China, for example, which I believe is the most troubling of the group of foreign donors, you can actually look on the Hunter Biden laptop and find the businessmen who secured these deals for Hunter Biden. There are four gentlemen that are named. If you look at those four gentlemen, each and every one of them has close ties to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence. So, for example, one gentleman who he calls the super chairman, at the same time that Hunter Biden secures a deal with him that translates into about $20 million, that same Chinese businessman is business partners with the Vice Minister of State Security in China, who is responsible for foreign recruitments. This has been reported in Hong Kong. This is not just Peter Schweitzer saying it. So you have the flow of funds. You have the flow of funds from foreign parties that are
fair use. Again, the views and opinions by Peter Schweitzer do not necessarily represent the views of Canon Hotep. Canon Speaks or Hotep Nation. Your discretion is advised.
Linked to the government and intelligence services. And then you have the third component of this, which is there's no discernible service or product or anything that Hunter Biden has brought to the table. So the question has to be asked, why are foreign actors like these four businessmen in China arranging deals worth tens of millions of dollars to the Bidens and not getting anything in return? And what's important to point out here is that Hunter Biden is the one who's the signatory on these deals, but the laptop also shows that money is fungible within the Biden family. We know that $2 million that arrived from China ended up with his uncle, James Biden. And we also know that Hunter Biden paid some of his father's bills while he was vice president of the United States. So this is not a Hunter Biden question. This is a larger Biden family question.
That's facts.
Now, one of the things that I hear from Democrats is that they say, well, this is kind of common. And look, the Trump family had all sorts of business dealings with Russia. Is that true?
So the Trump family does actually have some deals in China, although they kind of were unwinding. And I raised questions about that and some of the finance deals that Jared Kushner was involved in the Middle East. And those need scrutiny. They need analysis. And by the way, they were scrutinized by the mainstream media. So that's a good thing. The Biden deals weren't, but there's also a crucial difference here in my mind. And that is the deals that the Trumps had with China, the one that really translated into money was a deal that Ivanka Trump had for the manufacturing of shoes and other things in her apparel line. That was a line started, 10, 15 years ago. My point being, those were actual legitimate businesses that predate any involvement in. You certainly need to watch them and be aware of them and take them into account. With the Bidens, we're not talking about that. Hunter Biden, after his father becomes vice president of the United States, suddenly decides he's going to go into international finance, ill-defined. He has no background. He has no experience. And he's not doing deals in London or Tokyo. He immediately goes to Russia, China, and Ukraine for those deals. So I believe all foreign deals should be scrutinized. But you have to differentiate, in my mind, the difference between, say, Michael Bloomberg, who his company Bloomberg has major business dealings in China, which need to be watched. But that's a legitimate business. You cannot compare that to Rosemont Seneca Partners, which is, frankly, in a large extent, a fictitious business entity that was funneling money to Hunter Biden and his family.
Now, what about Trump's relationship with Russia?
Well, there was no question. There were discussions, and there was a sort of verbal agreement to build a Trump Tower in Moscow, but there was no real exchange of money in that case. And again, I would say, look, that deserves scrutiny, but Donald Trump actually has built hotels and condos around the world. Certainly, it's not appropriate to be doing that while you're a candidate or president of the United States. But to somehow put that in a nefarious light when you're ignoring a business that has no history that predates your father being vice president of the United States, and you have zero track record in it, I don't think you can compare those two very.
But you don't need a track record, right? We're going to leave it right there. If you want to check it out, you can always go to Michael Schellenberger's Twitter. But you don't need any experience, right? You don't need no experience. You know what his experience is? He's Joe Nicholslick's son. That's his experience. That's all he need. It's not what you know, it's who you know, people. And when you know the president of the United States on such a level that Hunter Biden knows his dad, then you're a cash cow, right? See, the thing what people don't understand is Hunter Biden himself was the shell company for Joe Nicholslick. Hunter Biden was the shell company for Joe Nicholslick, right? See, Joe Nicholslick couldn't directly deal with these companies by himself. So what he need? He need a proxy there. He needs a proxy. Nobody said his son couldn't work for these companies. They hire his son. They pay his son in the kickbacks they supposed to give old Nicholslick, that 10% for the big guy. Right? That's how that shit works. That's how that works. Just like with John Podesta's daughter working at Twitter, with niece working at Twitter, with Fauci's daughter working at Twitter. And you see how that worked? We can't be directly involved with that company, but who said our kids can't? And the kids get paid via the kickbacks that mommy and daddy and uncle supposed to get. That's all I'm saying. Right? Hunter get 10 million. He give his father what? A milli? Just saying. Just saying that's how that shit worked. Hunter Biden was the shell company for his dad. He was the proxy. Because there's no rule against public officials and foreign and world leaders, kids working for certain companies when it comes to American politics. All right, so let's keep it moving. Like I said, if you want to check that out, matter of fact, I'll put the Twitter files in the thread now. Give me a second to do that. I'll go and throw them in the chat. I'm gonna label it TF7. There you go. I'll put it in here too. All right, cool. And there you go. So on Rumble, it's in the comments, and on YouTube, it's in the chat, and it's in the description. Just so you guys have some reference, and you can go back and check it out. Anyway, but before we begin, if you're new, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification icon to let you know when I got new content coming out. Please share this stream. Please share this stream. Let people know we live. Plus, let's get this information out there. If you're catching the replay, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the topic at hand. Do you think there was extreme government overreach when it came to Twitter and the silencing of dissenting voices? Let me know what y'all think. Now let's keep it pushing. So, first, all right, we read that. And yet, during all of 2020, the FBI and other law enforcement agencies repeatedly primed Yoel Roth to dismiss reports of Hunter Biden's laptop as a Russian hack and leak operation. This is from a sworn declaration by Roth given in December of 2020. Let's see what this is. Since 2018, I have had regular meetings with the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and industry peers. Industry peers, again, here we go with that word, industry peers again. That tells us that what? That's Facebook. That's probably, I guess, TikTok. I don't know. I guess Facebook owns Instagram. You know what I mean? YouTube. You know what I mean? Industry peers. Hell, I don't know if Rumble was in on the shit or not either. You feel me? Just saying, industry peers regarding election security. During these weekly meetings, the federal law enforcement agencies communicated that they expected hack and leak operations by state actors might occur in the period shortly before the 2020 presidential election. Likely in October, I was told in these meetings that the intelligence community expected that individuals associated with potential campaigns would be subject to hacking attacks, and that material obtained through those hacking attacks would likely be disseminated over social media platforms, including Twitter. These expectations of hack and leak operations were discussed throughout 2020. I also learned in these meetings that there were rumors that hack and leak operation would involve Hunter Biden. It just seems too convenient, right? You would think that what's his name? Yoel Roth, right? You would think that Yoel Roth would have questioned this shit, right? You think he would have questioned it, like, yo, this seemed real shaky. So you tell me that a well-established news outlet such as in storied news outlets such as the New York Post will post a story with completely wrong information? Is that what you're trying to tell us? But no, he went along with it, which tells me that Yoel Roth was glowing in the dark. I'm sorry. They did the same to Facebook, according to CEO Mark Zuckerberg. The FBI basically came to us and was like, hey, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in 2016 election. There's about to be some kind of dump similar to that. How interesting, how convenient is that, right? So let's check that shit out.
The background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. The background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. The background.
So I've referenced this video or this clip 1,000 times, right? I said Mark Zuckerberg said the quiet part out loud. He told us right before the Twitter thread came out, even when I was on with HJ, when the Twitter files dropped, I said, yo, Zuckerberg told us everything we need to know. With that one clip, he told us that one clip, he said that that Facebook was working with the FBI. That FBI had a back channel to Facebook. He said it right there. Under the guise of safety and security, guys. Under the guise of safety and security.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Whether FBI warnings of a Russian hack and leak operation relating to Hunter Biden based on any new intel? No, they weren't. Through our investigations, we did not see any similar competing intrusions to what happened in 2016, admitted FBI agent. There's that name again. Elvis, what's his name? Elvis Chan.
That motherfucker's definitely a diesel then, isn't he?
Let's see what this is. Toward the 2020 election, is that right? Answer: for these United States government industry meetings, yes. Question: were hack and dump operations discussed at these meetings, or hack and leak operations? Answer: yes, they were. Tell me what was discussed about them at these meetings. The context of hack and dump is what was the FBI and CISA doing to prevent hack and dump operations. So from the FBI side, I think I already relayed to you that we had the Protective Voices Initiative. I can't remember the specifics, but CISA also discussed its cybersecurity awareness efforts as well as grants efforts with the state, county, and local level elections officials. Did anyone at the meeting tell the industry participants to expect a Russian hack and dump operation or hack and leak operation shortly before the 2020 election cycle? Mr. Sir, objection, lacks foundation. The witness. From my recollection, I remember that the FBI warned that I or someone from the FBI warned the social media companies about the potential for a 2016 style DNC. He says from my recollection, I remember that the FBI warned that I or someone from the FBI warned I or someone. He knew it was fucking him. That
motherfucker's definitely a diesel then, isn't he?
Bruh. Again, if you guys want to read the whole thing, go for it. Indeed, Twitter executives repeatedly reported very little Russian activity. We read that last night, right? Because the FBI was getting mad that Twitter wasn't reporting enough pages or pages for disinformation or threats or whatever you want to call it. Example: on September 24, 2020, Twitter told FBI it had removed 345 largely inactive accounts linked to previous coordinated Russian hacking attempts. They had little research and low follower counts. Right? In fact, Twitter debunked false claims by journalists of foreign influence on its platform. We haven't seen any evidence to support that claim by __ at NBC News of foreign controlled bots. Our review thus far shows a small scale domestic troll effort. What's this? White nationalist group posing as Antifa call for violence on Twitter. What's this? Out of an abundance of caution, I wanted to reach out to you about this news story. The second part of the article focuses on hashtag DC Blackout campaign and its potential to being driven by foreign controlled bots. Anything we should be aware of concerning this topic? Thanks, Elvis. Here's Joel Roth. We haven't seen any evidence to support that claim. Our review thus far shows a small-scale domestic troll effort that was amplified in some creative ways by real people, but not a significant bot or foreign angle. FBI ain't like that too much, right? They ain't like that shit too much. After the FBI asked about a WAPO story on alleged foreign influencers in a pro-Trump tweet, Twitter's Roth says the article makes a lot of insinuations, but we saw no evidence that was the case. And in fact, a lot of strong evidence pointing in the other direction. It's not the first time that Twitter's Roth had pushed back against the FBI in January of 2020. Roth revisited FBI efforts to get Twitter to share data outside of the normal search warrant process. That's interesting. Hi, my colleagues at the Fort had a query for you. I provided it to you below. A few years ago, Twitter said they would no longer provide their data to feed to members of the intelligence community. My colleagues wanted to know if that policy has changed or if it would be willing to be would you be willing to change it? What? My colleagues are currently contracting with a vendor for an analytic tool for open source intelligence, only publicly available data. The commercial version of this tool includes the Twitter data feed. However, the feed was disabled because the vendor said they did not want to violate their terms of service with Twitter. My colleagues were wondering if Twitter would be open to revisiting its terms of service to allow this vendor to continue having access to the Twitter feed. My colleagues are happy to meet in person to discuss this issue with you if you'd like. I hope you have a great holiday season. Elvis.
That motherfucker's definitely a diesel then, isn't he?
Jesus Christ. Let me see. Elvis. As discussed, here's my suggestion response. Of course, feel free to tweak, edit, but I tried to hit on the major points. At this point, we don't think a call directly with your colleagues at the fort is the best path forward, because they're going to incriminate their fucking self, right? As a rule, we're not able to directly discuss data licensing relationships with third parties such as the customers of our data customers. Both due to confidentiality reasons and limited information on our end about the business decisions that may have led one of our customers to decline to provide service to the government. We also have a long-standing policy prohibiting the use of our data products and APIs for surveillance and intelligence gathering. Okay. Which we would not deviate from. Ultimately, we want to be good partners to the government. We want to be good partners to the government. We want to be good partners to the government and help combat our shared threats. But the best path for NSA or any part of the government is to request information about Twitter users or their content is in accordance with a valid legal process. Thanks, yo. Okay. Pressure had been growing. We have seen a sustained, if uncoordinated, effort by the intelligence community to push us to share more info and change our API policies. They are probing and pushing everywhere they can, including by whispering to congressional staff. That's interesting. So this is an OGA query. I definitely agree with caution here. We have, that's what I just read. Including whispering to staff. We would stay connected and keep a solid front against these efforts. My sense from the exchange below is that Elvis is sending a message he was asked to. That's interesting. So Elvis, they just saying Elvis is the go-between between Congress and Twitter. That's interesting. Essentially, the FBI is the go-between. Extending the message he was asked to, but that he doesn't feel ownership of it, and a polite discussion will suffice to answer the mail here. Do we know which commercial provider is being referenced here by the clues offered? Do we feel like there's any additional guidance we can give up to those companies that can help clarify our rules and minimize their efforts to point back at our API rules when they feel pressure from governments? It seems that data miner has gotten that message clearly, but we keep getting additional queries from elsewhere. That's interesting. Time and time again, FBI asks Twitter for evidence of foreign influence, and Twitter responds that they aren't finding any worth reporting. Again, yesterday they said that yesterday, right? Yesterday we kept asking and asking and asking for they kept asking and asking and asking for this information. It was like, oh, we're not finding none. And then that's when the FBI came with the questionnaire where they were trying to, quote unquote, what we're reading here, trying to I was speculating, change policies and change rules. It basically was they were like not asking Twitter to change certain rules so certain accounts could be deemed that. Despite Twitter's pushback, the FBI repeatedly requests information from Twitter that Twitter has already made clear it will not share outside of normal legal challenge. They wanted Twitter to dox people, right? They wanted Twitter to give up address information and all that other shit. Then in July 2020, the FBI's Elvis Chan arranges a temporary top secret security clearance for Twitter's executives so that the FBI can share information about threats to the upcoming elections. Oh, since I brought the security clearances during our call, I don't think we have anyone at Twitter who has a permanent security clearance. Correct me if I'm wrong. Come on, really? You don't? But then he says, I don't think we have anyone at Twitter who has permanent security. Like, why would anybody at Twitter have permanent security clearance? Unless you put some people in there. Correct me if I'm wrong. What I propose is that 30 days out from the election, we get you temporary clearances. You get to pick who they would be. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Regards, Elvis. I wonder if Jim Baker and Yoel Roth got temporary security clearances. Just saying. On August 11, 2020, the FBI's Chan shares information with Twitter's Roth relating to the Russian hacking organization, I guess it's Apartment 28 or APT 28, through the FBI's secure one-way communications channel Teleporter. Oh, I got more information to share with you via Teleporter. You'll see an email from it shortly so you can download the document. Thanks. That's really interesting. All calm. In advance of this week's meeting, I'm going to be sending you 3 documents through FBI application called Teleporter. You will get a link from noreply.teleporter, which will expire in 24 hours. Please download the documents when you get a chance. The documents will not denote the actors, so I'm providing them here. At FITF topic Apartment 28C Sandworm. We'll be discussing A and B, but don't have anything additional for C at this point. Thanks. They talking real cryptic, ain't they? They got the fucking Mission Impossible. This message was self-destruct type shit, right? They fucking sending shit through Teleporter hoping it will go away. Recently, Yoel Roth told Kara Swisher that he had been primed to think about the Russian hacking group Apartment 28 or APT 28 before news of Hunter Biden laptop came out. When it did, Roth said it set off every single one of my finely tuned APT 28 hack and leak campaign alarm bells. Let's see what old Yoel Roth is saying in this video.
We learn about DC leaks, and we learn about the intersection between APT-28, a unit of Russian military intelligence, a hacking group. And so the morning of the Hunter Biden story in the New York Post happens, and it was weird, right? We didn't know what to believe. We didn't know what was true. There was smoke, and ultimately for me, it didn't reach a place where I was comfortable removing this content from Twitter. But it set off every single one of my finely tuned APT-28 hack and leak campaign alarm bells.
So it looked probably.
Everything about it looked like a hack and leak. We learned about.
Sounds like Yo's trying to cover his ass here. In August 2020, FBI's Twain asked Twitter, does anyone have top secret clearance? When someone mentions Jim Baker, Chan responds, I don't know how I forgot him. An odd claim given Chan's job to monitor Twitter, not to mention that they work together at the FBI. Who is Jim Baker? He's former general counsel of the FBI from 2014 to 2018 and one of the most powerful men in the U.S. intel community. Baker has moved in and out of government for 30 years, serving stints at CNN, Bridgewater, and $140 billion asset management firm, and Brookings. I guess the Brookings Institute. So he got around. He got around a lot, didn't he? He got around a whole lot. Golly mighty. Golly mighty. That's interesting. But not for the Hoteps, because, we told you. Anyway, if you're new, please share this stream. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Please, let's get those rumbles up, guys. Let's get those rumbles up. As general counsel of the FBI, Baker played a central role in making the case internally for an investigation of Donald Trump. Baker wasn't the only senior FBI exec involved in the Trump investigation to go to Twitter. Don Burton, the former deputy chief of staff to the FBI's head James Comey, who initiated the investigation of Trump, joined Twitter in 2019 as director of strategy. What? As of 2020, there are so many former FBI employees, BU alum working at Twitter, that they had created their own private Slack channel and a crib sheet to onboard new FBI arrivals. Golly mighty.
Really, nigga?
Holy shit. Hey, Jim, I'm so excited you're here. I'm no longer the newest BU alum. The fuck? The Bureau alum? Is that what that is? Here's the BU to Twitter translation chart. I mentioned adding Dawn so she can add /correct. Again, welcome. Super pumped to work with you again. Matt. Bruh. Bro, look at this shit. Oh my gosh. Efforts continue to influence Twitter's Joel Roth. In September of 2020, Roth participated in an Aspen Institute tabletop exercise on a potential hack and dump operation relating to Hunter Biden. The goal was to shape how the media covered it and how social media carried it. So just when you want to throw him some bail, he throws himself right back in there, helping to show us that he glowing in the dark. Got them good neon colors. Anyway, the organizer was Vivian Schiller, the former CEO of NPR, the former head of news at Twitter, former general manager of the New York Times, former chief digital officer of NBC News. That's interesting. Attendees included Meta, Facebook's head of security policy, and the top national security reporters for the New York Times, WAPO, and others. That's interesting. What's this? Oh, I guess that's all of the names right there. Remember the names, people. Remember the names. That's all I'm saying. In other words, election interference. In other words, treason. These people are hilarious. So let me click on this real quick. By mid-September 2020, Chan and Roth had set up an encrypted messaging network so employees from the FBI and Twitter could communicate. They also agreed to create a virtual war room for all the internet industry, plus FBI and ODNY, Office of the Director of National Intelligence. That's really fucking interesting. Then on September 15th, 2020, the FBI, Laura Dimlow, who heads up the Foreign Influence Task Force, and Elvis Chan, there's that fucking name again, Elvis fucking Chan. Somebody said it was Jackie Chan, little brother.
That motherfucker's definitely a diesel, isn't he?
Request to give a classified briefing for Jim Baker without any other Twitter staff such as Joel Roth present. What? On October 14th, shortly after the New York Post publishes its Hunter Biden laptop story, Roth says it isn't clearly violative, is that a word, violative, of our hack materials policy, nor is it clearly in violation of any else, but adds, this feels a lot like a somewhat subtle leak operation. So you're saying it doesn't violate any of your policies, but then you go and you suspend their channel. It doesn't violate any of your policy, but you go and suspend your channel. Really? I mean, you suspend their page, right? Until they took down that fucking story. Until they took down that story. In response to Roth, Baker repeatedly insists that the Hunter Biden materials were either fake, hacked, or both. In a violation of Twitter's policy, Baker does so over email and in a Google Doc on October 14th and 15th. And yet it's inconceivable Baker believed the Hunter Biden emails were either fake or hacked. The New York Post had included a picture of the receipt signed by Hunter Biden, and the FBI subpoena showed that the agency had taken possession of the laptop in December of 2019. What? So that's what I showed you earlier. Oh, Dad, they finally fucking did it. So that's the subpoena. And there's the fucking receipt right there. All this over $85 fucking repair. Goodness gracious. As for the FBI, it likely would have taken a few hours for it to confirm that the laptop had belonged to Hunter Biden. Indeed, it only took a few days for journalist Peter Schweizer to prove it. That's what he's talking about again.
When the laptop dropped in 2020, I had no idea where it came from. I didn't know if it was real. But what I did was I took the files on the Hunter Biden laptop and I compared it to bodies of information that we knew were absolutely true. So, for example, the Secret Service, again at the request of the U.S. Senate Committee, had released Hunter Biden's travel records. So we were able to take the laptop and say, when he says he's in Dubai, does that correspond with the Secret Service travel records? If he's emailing somebody and saying, I'm in Hong Kong, does that line up? In each and every case, it lined up. Then we compared the laptop to the suspicious activity reports, the SARS reports. When the emails referenced $5 million being wired to Hunter Biden's business, does that correspond with the SARS? And again, it lined up completely. And the laptop really came out at about the same time as the Secret Service travel logs and the wire transfers. So it really would not have been possible for somebody to create thousands of emails simultaneously to demonstrate it. Then the final thing we did, Michael, is we looked at Hunter Biden's laptop emails and we compared them with a collection that we'd received from Hunter Biden's business partners, a guy named Bevan Cooney, who's in jail. He shared his Gmail account with us, and we looked at it. The Hunter Biden laptops that have Bevan Cooney correspondence on them, do they actually line up with Bevan Cooney's Gmail account? And again, they did 100%. Now, I was able to do this in Florida with my researchers. The New York Times, the Washington Post, CBS News, ABC News could have done the same thing. But they were not interested in this story. They did not pursue this story. If you had told me that information would come forward that Jimmy Carter's family or Ronald Reagan's family was receiving tens of millions of dollars from Russian businesses that were linked to the KGB, it would have set off alarm bells, rightfully so, to all kinds of news outlets. That's really the equivalent of what we're talking about here. And yet, the media somehow convinced themselves that this was not an important or an interesting story.
Interesting. By 10 a.m., Twitter execs had bought into a wild hack and dump story. The suggestion from excerpts, which ring true, is there was a hack that happened separately, and they loaded the hack materials on the laptop that magically appeared at the repair shop in Delaware. Meanwhile, they got the subpoena. Meanwhile, they got the signature from Hunter Biden and apparently his fucking phone number that you can see in the receipt. I'm just saying. At 3:38 p.m. that same day, October 14th, Baker arranges a phone conversation with Matthew J. Perry in the office of General Counsel of the FBI. The influence operation persuaded Twitter execs that Hunter Biden's laptop did not come from a whistleblower. The influence operation persuaded Twitter execs that Hunter Biden's laptop did not come from a whistleblower. So they're saying that J.P. McIsaac is not the one who had a laptop with Hunter Biden's information on it. One linked the Hill article based on WAPO's article from October 15, which falsely suggested that Giuliani leaked the laptop. Giuliani's leak of the laptop had something to do with Russia. Intelligence officials warned Trump that Giuliani was target of Russian influence campaign report. Oh my God. Holy shit. There is evidence that the FBI agents have warned elected officials of foreign influence with the primary goal of leaking the information to the news media. This is a political dirty trick used to create a perception of impropriety. Damn. In 2020, the FBI gave a briefing to Senator Grassley and Johnson, claiming evidence of Russian interference into their investigation of Hunter Biden. The briefing angered the senators, who say it was done to discredit their investigation. The unnecessary FBI briefing provided the Democrats and liberal media the vehicle to spread their false narrative that our work advanced Russian disinformation. Notably, then FBI General Counsel Jim Baker was investigated twice in 2017 and 2019 for leaking information to the news media. You're saying he's under criminal investigation? That's why you were not letting him answer? Meadows asked. Yes. In the end, the FBI's influence campaign aimed at executives at news media, Twitter, and other social media companies worked. They censored and discredited the Hunter Biden laptop story by December 2020. Baker and his colleagues even sent a note of thanks to the FBI for its work. Thanks, Angela. I'll sign it as well. With scale, please prepare a draft for Sean and me to look at. Also, we should be mindful that the letters could leak and will be subject to FOIA. So we should prepare them with the exception in mind. Thanks, Jim. Oh my gosh, bro. Hi, Angela. I'll be happy to thank Sean and Jim. Hope all is well. The election is taking up. I need to make this bigger. I can't see shit. Okay, whatever. The election has taken up most of our lives for most of this year, but certainly the past few months, Twitter was on the front line of protecting our users and the public at large from misinformation and disinformation campaigns that had a potential to negatively affect the fair election process. What is not as widely known is the role Twitter played in helping the FBI track and identify violent actors who wanted to perpetrate acts of domestic terrorism at polling stations and ballot counting facilities. Obviously, this work is close. Hold, and we will never get public credit. But I would like to thank our FBI counterparts who work so well with us this election cycle. Guess they was giving themselves a fucking pat on the back, wasn't they? The FBI's influence campaign may have been helped by the fact that it was paying Twitter millions of dollars for its staff time. That's interesting to know. I'm happy to report we've collected $3,415,323 since October 2019, reports an associate of Jim Baker in early 2021. That's fucking crazy. Told y'all Jim Baker was getting a check from somewhere else. I told you they was getting a check from somewhere else. They wasn't off the payroll. And the pressure from the FBI on the social media platform continues. In August of 2022, Twitter execs prepared for a meeting with the FBI whose goal was to convince us to produce more FBI EDRs. EDRs are an emergency disclosure request and warrantless searches. Bruh. In response to Twitter Files revelation of high-level FBI agents at Twitter, Jim Jordan said, "I have concerns about whether the government was running a misinformation operation on the people. Anyone who reads the Twitter Files, regardless of their political orientation, should share those concerns." End. Damn. FBI had backdoors to Twitter. FBI had a fucking bat phone. They fucking had the Mission Impossible. This letter will self-destruct, or this message will self-destruct. This dude Elvis Chan was a fucking huge actor in this all this shit. Jim Baker, Yoel Roth just seems like he was just a dumbass who was just going along with everything. Now that I'm looking at it,
That motherfucker's definitely a diesel, isn't he?
right? He still kind of glows in the dark to me. But at the same time, now it's starting to really feel like he was an idiot. He was just an idiot that was like, oh my God, really? I need to save America. I gotta help the FBI to save America. That's what it sounds like to me. This motherfucker thought he was a fucking Avenger. That's what it started to feel like now. I think Yoel Roth this nigga thought he was an Avenger, like straight up. I mean, this shit is interesting, right? But at the same time, you know, a lot of us social media, I guess influencers, for lack of a better term, a lot of us content creators, a lot of us truth seekers, trying to sound the horn, right? That all these social media platforms were infiltrated. Kept trying to tell y'all that. But nobody want to listen. Now we got the Twitter Files out, and guess what? They still ain't going to want to listen. The willfully ignorant don't want their belief system broken. They're going to think that this shit is Russian disinformation. You see how they running the smear campaign against fucking Elon now. People are not going to trust this shit because the media said to not trust it. You see CNN reporting on this shit? Y'all see MSNBC reporting on this shit? Huh? You see the Young Turks reporting on this shit? Who you see reporting on this shit? No fucking body. Independent journalists and people like the Hoteps, people like the Quartering, Legal Mindset, right? We're reporting it. So it's important that you disseminate this information, right? They're not going to go on Twitter and read it themselves. So if you want to, You give them your favorite YouTuber who's covering it. Give them that video. Let them hear it from the, hear it read to them. Right? Hey, I got a nice soundtrack behind mine at least. Anyway, if you're new, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification icon to let you know when I got new content coming out. Please share this stream. Please share this stream. Let people know we're live. If you're catching the replay, let me know what you think about the content. Let me know what you think about the topic at hand. Do you think this is Russian disinformation, or do you think this is the real deal? Anyway, check it. I got one other topic I want to cover, but we got to cover that on Rumble for a Rumble exclusive. So I'm gonna go ahead and post my Rumble. Let me see. I might already got it in there though. Copy. I don't. Hold up. Cool. There we go. So I'm gonna get ready to post the Rumble. I posted the Rumble in the description on YouTube, and I also posted it in the chat. So guys, go ahead, hit that link. Head on over to Rumble. Once you get over there, hit that Rumble button on the way in. Hit that subscribe button on the way in. If you don't got a Rumble account, make a goddamn Rumble account. All your favorite YouTubers is going over to Rumble because YouTube is fucking us. Guess what? I've been live for how long? An hour and 13 minutes. And guess what I did not get from YouTube? A goddamn notification that I was going live. And guess what I can't find from my other account? When I go upstairs and I go to look for this, that shit ain't nowhere to be found. We got your subscriptions. That shit is hidden. Shadow ban, people. I'm shadow banned. Anyway, hit that Rumble link. He had it over the Rumble. So this is the end of the road here on YouTube. So this is Ken and Hotep saying stay safe, stay well, stay strapped. And Elvis Chan.
That motherfucker's definitely a diesel in, isn't he?
I'll let y'all.
So relax and take notes. Niggas need to wake up. Niggas need to relax and take notes. Niggas need to wake up. Niggas need to